All right, let me figure it. There's my button. There's my button. Nobody wants to see these. That's fine, I guess. All right, what do we got for time? 7:01. And the room's looking pretty full. Let's see. We've got Bet, George, Giro, Ashley's on, Abe's on, Hans is on, Lisa, Fairy Child is on.
Fairy Child.
She spelled it wrong. I'm just making fun of her. I'll fix it. There we go. Lisa's on. Steve's here and Terry's here. Ramesh also has that thing that's going around. And I know Michelle is tied up with some things. And Niru is in India, traveling back in days. No problem, Lisa. Happy to do so. So let's get started because we want to make sure that we make the most out of the time that we have. Thank you all for joining us. We really want this call, ignoring the really long agenda. The call is really to hear from you, the division directors, on how you're doing, where you need help, and also to give you kind of a higher level direction on where things are going. I think we talked at the DECM in January a little bit more about the next couple of months, but we wanted to give you a snapshot going into April and the rest of the year, so there's no whiplash and there's no surprises, because I don't like bad surprises. So that's the agenda for the day. And if you have any questions about the agenda, or if you want to talk about something that's not on here, we can definitely do that. I'm not used to controls on a Mac.
You have a Mac?
Yeah, it's terrible. My work laptop. I should have really just been on my personal laptop. Anything else for the agenda? Okay. We'll continue on. DECM, we talked about what's coming up January to April. We have contests, we have renewals, we have open houses, we have club visits, we have training, we have new clubs. We're not going to talk about these things really in particular. I think instead we really want to hear from you about how things are progressing with these things. And I think makeup training is really kind of a great place to start with that. And Bet, maybe you can, I'd like to maybe just have you talk through the makeup training agenda, and I'd love to hear from Giro and from Lisa and Hans how your training went. And if we need to make any tweaks, we should figure that out sooner than later. So, Bet, why don't you kick us off here?
Sure. So let's see. Lisa, I think Abe is the one who hasn't done it yet, and maybe Terry.
Yep, Thursday.
Okay. So Steve's is tomorrow night. Abe's is Thursday. All right. So let's just go ahead and let me walk through it. It is different, and the TLI feedback has been really good. And I ran into a president at a club I was visiting the other day who was raving about it. I don't think he knew who I was, but he was just talking about how great the TLI agenda was. So people are really enjoying it that I've heard. And I think Lisa wrote me because I asked her how it went. And I don't think I got to hear back from Giro yet, but I've been hearing good things. So some things about it, make sure they're not lecturing. Pathways is a discussion, keep it positive. Brainwriting, I've included the attachments. You guys should be good with that. 30, 60, 90-day planning. People really like this because now they have time to sort of digest all the things that they've been learning. And just a few pro tips before I get some feedback from Giro and Lisa and Hans. is recruit your area directors as trainers, because they're your staff, right? They can really help out. Make sure you're using your food budget to save time. Enter your own training records. So Jerome, this is something I need to send to you. Lisa did it. Yay, thank you, Lisa. So Jerome, I'm gonna send you a link and you can actually enter them yourself. And that way you're guaranteed that you're gonna get all those DCP points for the people. I can see that you're very excited about it, but we can't hear you at all. So one thing, Abe and Steve, you got to remind people to write their full name. Actually, Lisa gave me a new format, so I'm going to send it to Abe and Steve after this meeting. If you haven't printed it yet, you may have already printed it. But anyways, reminding people to sign in with their full name will save you, because trying to just code people's names is ridiculous. I think, did I have any more pro tips? More. Let me just check.
Please do send me that form, because that was something that I was going to do after dinner.
I will. Yeah. Okay, so then the next thing, oh yeah, use this event to recruit future leaders. You're going to all need to replace yourself, and you're going to want to make sure your area directors are being replaced with someone awesome. So use this event and really enjoy it. Jerome and I were emailing before his event, and I was telling him, like, Jerome, enjoy this event. And I hope he did. So let's hear from Jerome and then Lisa on any
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You still can't hear. You can.
You can,
Right.
yeah.
Yes, I can't remember where I lost you. I was going to answer a question. Oh, I am planning on putting in my own officer training. I sent it out though because it had a lot of people from different divisions came, so I wanted to make sure that you could put in for the people that I don't have access to.
So Jerome, so Kevin, I'm not sure what it looks like to division directors. Can they only put in their own division?
That sounds right, as I recall. It might be their own division. But he's going to want to update the whole spreadsheet anyways, because Bet, you can maybe explain all the emails we get from people about, no, I went to training. Why don't I have credit?
Okay, yeah. So Jerome, let me just say really quick one thing here, and this is for everyone. The process is we first put it in our Google spreadsheet, and then we put it into the system itself. So
Okay.
I wasn't even asking you to do that part. I really just want to get our spreadsheet updated, because that's the thing we share with clubs, and they can go in there and check us, and then they can complain like, I didn't go to training yet. I don't know why there's a record for me. And I'm like, I see a name written on your spot. Let me now spend 20 minutes investigating. Thanks. All right, Jerome, back to you.
No, my experience, I had a little bit of a technical hiccup with the second part of the presentation, but we got through it. The food budget was really a time saver. Ramesh was not feeling well, so we had we had a plan for how we were going to divide up the work, and then we didn't have a plan for how the work was going to get divided, but it worked out well. I've been getting positive feedback, which is good. People could just be being nice, but usually somebody will be be candid with me. So I think it went okay.
All right, awesome, Jerome. And so you're gonna put the stuff into the spreadsheet, right?
Into the spreadsheet, yes.
Okay. All right, Lisa, feedback on how yours went, and pro tips for the team.
Okay, it went really well, and I think people really enjoy the breakout sessions that are not just going over the slides. We gave all of our trainers, and Hans pulled it from the TI website, just a one-pager on their roles, and then I think everyone had more of an interactive discussion. And I think people like the brainwriting, that exchange of ideas. Here was one thing. I spoke with some people after the training, and here's my little pro tip.
Tell us the trippy trip.
There are several leaders that go to training because they're required to go and their clubs are working well. And so they're like, ho hum, I'm putting in the time. And so my pro tip is that I think it's nice to kind of ask that at the beginning. How's your club going? And letting people know that are in successful clubs, your role here is to share your wisdom here, so that they're not sitting like they're just putting in their time, but you're giving them a different role, inviting them into a different role in training, which is to help clubs that are struggling with ideas. So they feel like they have a reason for being there other than ticking the box. That's my pro tip.
I love it. Steve and Abe, I hope you took a note. I just took a note.
Yep. That sounds like a good idea.
I took a note.
Yes, great. All right.
Kevin, you took a note?
I took a
Good for
note.
you. You want to be a trainer?
I was actually going to build on what Lisa said. You know, those clubs are doing really well and think they already know everything and feel like they're not going to get anything from training. Those are the people who should get as trainers. So they go there, they do the training, and they get credit for it at the same time. So it's a good twofer as well.
That's great. Hey, Kevin, can we go to the next slide?
Yes.
Okay, good. So
Man.
this is your stats on where you are right now. So you got 42 people signed up, Steve, and Abe, you got 25. So make sure you're using these numbers when you are ordering food.
So
Right.
what's the 75 mean?
That means how many seats. And I think that was in there from the last time you guys used that.
How many what?
How many seats are available? Like how many
Oh.
people can you fit in that facility? I actually don't know how true that is. I had to ask Steve how many people he could fit in his facility.
Okay.
Because I had, for some reason, it was 30 before, and then he asked me to up it. So I don't really know how big these rooms are that you're using. So you guys need to let me know. Like I've been in the EB Mud place a lot of times, so I knew that one. But anyway, so please, one thing Division A did last summer is they bought $100, $150 worth of food, and there was like 20 people there. It was like a very, very expensive meal, and they ended up donating all the extra food to like someone. So it's like, please just buy enough food for the people who are going to be there. Don't spend the whole money because it's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's everything I had. So back to you, Kevin.
Yeah, perfect. And so we've got, Bet broke down that second piece, and the whole point was we wanted to build on what people already knew. Last year we talked about doing like advanced officer training, but we couldn't quite turn it around. So this is kind of our first big swing at it, and it's really exciting. And I hope the kind of the state of the district piece is kind of clear. I think, encouraging people, telling them they're doing the right things was kind of the idea and the intent behind that. So letting everybody know the clubs on the whole are doing well, the district is doing well, what to think about, the priorities for the next couple of months, and DCP, which is really critical. If they don't know the DCP program, they don't know what they need to do the next 4 or 5 months. So that was the intent behind the state of the district, just so that makes a little bit more sense. And I know Lisa or somebody from Lisa's team did it, and I know Giroux managed it without Ramesh. This is the opportunity for you to be in the spotlight. We want to put you and your teams in the spotlight. So, and if you want to make changes, we can figure that out. But I just wanted to make sure that was clear too.
Yeah, the one thing on the DCP is you guys probably remember, because probably all of you have been to TLI and seen me do it, is I make it fun, and I try to make the DCP interactive and show why it's benefiting the club. So that's really important it's not a boring set of slides. I try to make it interactive. Remember the mood rings?
So do I have to jump around across the stage like you did?
You don't have to. No jumping required.
No, no, not necessary at all. And cool. And I read from chat, Hans did the State of the District piece and it went well. Awesome.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Abe.
So with regard to the pathways part of the officer training breakout, I would think it's just a small piece of pathways, right? I mean, is there some sort of template or something I can give to the trainers? I mean,
Yeah,
if I tell them to do pathways, I'm not sure what they're going to do.
So I have a specific list of questions they're supposed to ask, and I
Oh.
believe I sent that to you guys.
You sent that already?
Yeah.
All right. How long ago?
I sent it probably in November. I'm just
Last
kidding.
November.
I'm just
All right.
kidding.
I keep all my emails, so I'll look for it. So
Yeah.
you've got pathways questions, right?
Yeah, there's pathways questions. So the first question is, how is pathways unique and special? How much do you like it? The second one is some administration. The third is onboarding tips. And the fourth is a wrap up. So I'll just re-forward this to you. Does anyone else need it? Steve, maybe?
Yeah, please send it to me as well.
Okay, I'm going to resend it to you
Thank
guys.
you.
Sure. So yeah, it's a led facilitated discussion. It's not a lecture, and there's no slides involved.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Back
That's
to you,
a good
Kevin.
question. That's a good question. Yep. And if you need the slides for the State of the District, Bet can also make sure she gets that to you. And you'll want to take a look. I think there's like this whole open house marketing thing that was in like an early draft of a TLI. Those pieces are kind of already embedded in the State of the District piece. So it's all in there. If
Okay,
you're
so I don't
wondering where
need to
it
have
is.
that as a separate item?
Yeah, it's all in there, right? We go through open houses and we go through renewals and those different pieces. It's all in there.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. All right, perfect. So I wanted to spend and really spend some time and just hear from you, the division directors. Maybe each of you can kind of go through one at a time. What's a challenge that you're having where you might need some help? We really want to get a sense of, where you're at and where we need to be supporting you. So who wants to go first? Abe, do you want to kind of kick us off?
Sure, I'd be glad to. One thing I need, Kevin, is I'd like a spreadsheet of all of the club members, if we have one, of the Division A and Division I clubs, because I see on the spreadsheet there are many clubs, or I could say several clubs, that haven't signed up yet, and they are way behind for winter training. And I know that this is kind of like micromanaging, but I'd like to send individual emails to these folks and say, please, you've got time to register for Thursday's training. You're going to help your club, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be signed by a division director. So maybe that might have a little more push for them to wake up and show up Thursday night. So could you do that for me?
We can definitely do that. Bet,
Thank
maybe
you.
Can you pull that and maybe shoot an email over to Abe with that info, Bet?
So what I'm doing right at this moment is taking the officer list. I'm going to remove all of the address and things that are not needed, and I'm just going to send it to you.
Yeah, I need email address.
I'm going to have the regular email address, not their
Okay,
home.
thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I have an old list, but
Yep.
it's no good.
And I know you're coordinating with A as well, and you can't even pull that info. So we can definitely.
Thank you.
All right.
Contest. Let's see.
Contest.
Oh, am I done?
Well,
No,
why don't we go to the next person, and
Okay.
then we'll keep circling until we've exhausted everything.
exhausted us.
Right? Giro, why don't we hear from you?
Yes. I think I have all the contest stuff under control. It was touch and go there for a while. I had at least one of my officers couldn't find a venue, but we sorted that out. So all of the area contests they're scheduled. I'm working with them to get them all on the district calendar, because that's going to be the way that I don't have to answer the questions individually, which is what's been happening so far. People are just emailing me and asking me when their area contest is. So we're working to get them all on the calendar, but they're all scheduled. I think the first one's next Tuesday, and then they'll wrap up at the end of February. The compressed timeline for the early part of the year has been a little bit of a challenge, but we're getting through. Just something to think about next time. February is a little bit early, I think, right on top of winter training, but it wasn't too hard to figure out. I got through.
Don't forget
All
that
right.
we're all going for the international convention also early. So everyone in the whole globe
Everything
is
is compressed.
facing this. Yep.
All right, well, when you're kicking up, make sure you kick them in the pants and tell them it's too early.
Yeah, and I think this was also why we started talking about contests in like October, November, and kind of saying it's going to come faster than you think.
I was prepared, and it was still too early.
All right, so it was a bit early, but everything else is on track. I did clear, we did have a bit of a backlog because George has been doing a lot around new clubs, so I helped clear a backlog of getting events on the calendar. So if it was submitted, it should be up there right now. So
Everybody I know that has submitted is already up. I have two ADs that I don't think have submitted yet. I emailed them yesterday. I'll email them again tomorrow. I might just do it for them if I don't get them to do it.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Jarrell. Everything seems to be going good, which I like what to hear. Hans, we haven't heard from you. How are things shaking in Division F?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So training, we got some gaps in our clubs, and I think, I've been sending emails to all their officers saying, look, this is how many points, or this is what you need to become distinguished, and here's some additional opportunities in Fremont and Concord and everywhere else coming up. So that's taken care of. I think the main gap with this division is that so many of our clubs are smaller, like say 15 and under members, and therefore they have a perception that they're never going to qualify for distinguished, and therefore they don't need to attend training because they think, I'm just speculating here, but they think it's just an obligation. And if they don't qualify for distinguished, then they'll just pass up on that obligation. I've actually heard that from two people, but certainly not everyone. So it's possible more people think that way, but you do what you got to do. I try to frame it as a networking experience, and this is an opportunity to get outside your club and, see what other great speakers are out there, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the only feedback I have about training. The only other thing I could say is make sure that your trainers know and understand the brain writing and 30, 60, 90 sheets, because I noticed a couple times at at Hayward, where they kind of made up their own questions to put on top of those sheets. And some people did it right. I mean, it was supposed to be your biggest challenge that your club is facing. but another person did it kind of like, what do you think, like, what's the biggest issue with Toastmasters in general? Or what is and so I think some preparation, just make sure they're prepared on that. Let's see what else is going on. Contests, both my ADs have theirs scheduled. I have mine scheduled as a dual area contest for F20 and F32 in San Ramon, March 6th. And then division contest will most likely be, what was it? March, no, April 2nd, because I had to do a switch. Lisa has already taken March 26th, so I cannot do that Thursday. I'm moving it to April 2nd.
Okay, April 2nd. I think Steve may also have a duplicate on the 26th, but we can deal with that by email. All right. And Hans, I know you're doing a dual contest. Are you getting support for that? Do you need more manpower or woman power?
Well, as I understand, I think we did a dual contest last year, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the judges can be the same, correct? As long as there's no like inter-club competition. Or I mean, because I think I was a judge for both of those clubs.
So normally that would be fine. So what I would suggest is, I think if you get a member from each club that's participating to be a judge, and they judge in both contests, then you'll have more than enough judges, and you'll be okay. But we might kick this over to Wing Lock, unless you want to chime in, Bet.
That's why I have Wing, because he's very detail oriented, and he is totally, this is his only job. So
Okay, well,
send him your questions.
Okay.
This is his only job.
Yep.
This is Lisa. I believe that at the area level, that what Kevin said is right, is as long as you have equal number of representation for the clubs that are competing, you're fine. You have to have equal number and or 5 plus a chief judge and a tie-breaking judge. So a lot of judges.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you have 2 areas of dual contest, then you should pass 5.
Yeah.
Which is the key. All right. And if you need help with your contests, David Dye is our contest chair, and Wing Lock is our chief judge, so you can help out with them there. Lisa, I see you on video.
You do. I'm here.
How can we help?
So contests, I thought that most of them are on, but I see that H19 is not on. Theirs is going to be 218.
Okay.
So I will make sure that that gets on. H28 and H34 are on the calendars. For the 28th for H28 and March 4th for H34. We don't have a schedule yet for H5. They're still looking at the venue, but that should be taken care of. They do have a contest chair. My contest has been scheduled. The challenge of our club is the division, not the challenge, but the thing we're looking at really now is we have some clubs that are struggling. And by the way, I think that what Hans said with regard to clubs that feel like because of membership issues or something else, they're not going to get points. And so I think they blow the whole thing off. And I think there's an opportunity, I don't know what it is, an opportunity to kind of reframe that, because I think they feel like, why am I doing any of this? I know that I have had to have the discussion with some of the clubs in our division that aren't doing things to ask them what's happening with them and what do they want. And it's really kind of the way I've positioned it. And most of the time it's me talking to them, is we are there to resource them, but we also have to spend our time where people want the resource, where, so, you know, we're not doing this to clubs that don't want to do that. So kind of, I would say that most of the time it's well received. It either gets them like, oh, okay, we want some help. Not always though. We are encouraging all of our clubs, whether or not they are contest savvy, to hold the contest, even if they do it their own way. For instance, Bill and I are working with Hacienda, who has not had a club contest before, and he's going to be the Toastmaster for one contest, and I'll be the chief judge, and then we'll switch it for the second day of contest and have them educate them on judging and have them have it a little bit more fun. And we're also encouraging all the clubs to send, even just send someone. Asking all the clubs to send one judge, competitors, and 2 helpers to the area contest. And then we're asking all the areas to do the same thing for the division contest. So we've had a few clubs that have had open houses already, and we've already had some club visits. I think Sherry's almost done with all of hers because she's trying to get them in before her new job starts. And I know Catherine has done some, and I know that Stephanie is doing some.
Awesome. Yeah, on that training piece, it's kind of interesting. It's, you know, if you're kind of struggling, you know, you talk about reframing it. Well, that is the reason to go to training. If you are struggling, show up, let's brainstorm and come up with some ideas to help turn things around and to help you and to grow you in the club. It's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it?
It is a little catch-22. It is a
Yeah.
little catch-22 for sure.
The other thing that comes to mind, and I know we did this, and Terry might have done this, we kind of picked a couple of specific roles where we knew there were, you know, 3-4 people in that particular role in a particular area or division that didn't get trained for whatever reason, and we, you know, got everybody together and did a mini training. So we didn't go to try to train all the different roles, but we tried to be at least a little bit focused. So that was something that we kind of looked at as well. And, you know, training is due the end of February, so there's still time if we need to circle back around.
Well, let me ask you a question on that, because I know last semester we did that, and I know that all of the area directors had clubs that were missing people, and all of them went and did training. I thought that I understood that that was not available this semester. Is that, have you moved on that? Am I having wrong information?
The online training, yeah, that was for people who are literally like a 12-hour drive from Livermore. It takes them 6 hours to get to TLI North, to Santa Rosa even. That's where we had geared and focused the online training. There were a couple people who gave access to the recordings afterwards, but it didn't give them credit, but it got them trained, you know, so at least we get them trained.
But
Yeah, this is a rule from TI. So this is not, people are always writing us like, oh, we should just do online training. They have a lot of really great ideas, but this is not our rule.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
That I might have missed this. Someone might have already covered this, but are you offering the possibility of, district leaders going out and training people who, like last summer?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Because
Yeah.
I did.
Also, that's strongly not recommended. So there's a whole document that's on club officer training. I just reread it just to remind myself. And it's like strongly not recommended. And one of the reasons why is because getting everyone together in a big group brings a lot of energy and ideas. It's more than just check the box. It's really helping them learn. Whereas if it's just one person goes out, it's just limited amount of knowledge and energy that will be transferred. So that's one of the thinkings behind it.
Okay. Yeah, never mind. Last summer was that was totally different training. This time it's more group thing. You're right.
I'm just gonna say that I get, and it obviously makes sense for people to go to training and be in the group, and there's a group dynamic. So I'm not discounting any of that. And yet I think that there is also something to be said for us reaching out to clubs that are struggling and giving them the attention that they need, but they feel kind of discouraged. And it sometimes results in them signing up for training next time because somebody's done this to them, instead of just saying, you're not going, so forget about it. So I get it both ways, but I get it both ways, but I just wanted to say that.
And Lisa, that's why we have area directors, right? That personal touch is why we have area directors.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and they really need to be creating those relationships.
All right, let's keep rolling. We've got Terry on the line up in Division G. Hi, Terry.
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
I'll start my video here so y'all can at least see me. Everything's going great up here. I want to say, as far as contests and things, club contests are going well. I think really the first ones are starting this Friday, I know, in G10, and there's going to be some other ones, of course, in G25 and 31 in the clubs. The area G25 and G31 are having their contest together, and that is going to be on March 7th. So that's already working well. The area directors are doing a great job of getting those set up. The G10 area contest is February 29th in Ukiah. That's going well. And then the division contest, March 28th in Cloverdale, and really engaging the Cloverdale club, who doesn't typically participate. They're very excited about participating, not necessarily as contestants, but in the functionary roles. So that's going to go really, really well. Talking about, I've been listening to everyone as far as the club officer training. And I know that last time we did the virtual training up here. And Bet and I know we've been going back and forth as far as how with this new agenda and new format for training just doesn't translate well into virtual. I really feel like it needs to be live. And last time we did the virtual, just like Kevin was saying, because of the long distance and geographical difficulties for some of the clubs, but really G11, which was the furthest away, didn't participate in the virtual. So why put all that work, and then who we were really gearing it towards didn't even take advantage of it. So I think I would rather just go with making it much more conducive and just better product by having it live. So I think that that's what I'm going to move forward. I know I will be able to get a location. I know I have one in Ukiah, but I think I'm going to look at Windsor, and it should be no problem. The idea that I have for a venue, we can get it in the middle of the week in the evening. So yes, go ahead, Bet.
So excited that you're doing this. And the cool thing about this agenda is you don't need to have the most expert people run it, because it's just facilitation. They just need to be making sure people are heard.
And I'm very excited about it. And it was really looking at that agenda again that you put up, and just everyone talking about some of the pro tips and things. I'm like, you know what? you get so much more out of the training when it's live. Granted, virtual was convenient, and the trainers that we had virtual were very good, and it gave them an opportunity to practice doing the Skype or Zoom meetings. But I think for the participants and how this agenda is set up, it's better live. So I'm going to be working on that part. But before we get too far into that, Bet, do you have an updated list on who is registered for TLI North this Saturday?
I'll send it over to you right now.
Oh, thank you so much. Because I'm still very much pushing people to participate that way than the club makeup. But of course, we need to give the club makeup option for those that just literally cannot make it to Saturday.
Any other challenges that you want to share, Terry?
One thing that Kevin and you and I had talked about as far as a master class, a trio master class, we talked about doing that along with the division contest. I spoke to the area directors, and I guess before they really kind of get behind this, they want to know, and you can do this offline, what that would look like.
Okay, I'll talk to Beth and Ashley, and we'll figure out what that might look like.
I think that their apprehension is that it's after a long day of contests and things already. So, but I think that if they know what the content is going to look like, that they would get behind it if it was going to be worthwhile for everyone.
So Terry, did you go to the last one we did last year?
I did not. I do remember that y'all did it after the division contest that was there in Santa Rosa, but I was not able to stay for it. So yeah, any feedback, if it's going to be like it was, I definitely didn't get any bad feedback from the people that did go to it. So I would be really interested to see if it's going to be the same format.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say we can do anything you guys want, but
Okay.
we can do this by email because I know everyone else is not
Right.
involved in that conversation. Okay.
Sounds good.
And the time is winding down, but I think we're having great discussion, which is good. Steve, what can we help you with? Where's the struggle?
I don't think there's a struggle. Is there a struggle?
If there's no struggle, there's no struggle. But we wanted to make sure that we're asking, right? Because sometimes we don't know there's an issue or a challenge, and we can all kind of talk together and talk about solving it.
So we had our second district council meeting on Sunday. We've got all of the contests scheduled. B17's the 20th. B21 is the 24th. Those are both at the water district. B7 is March 11th at the water district. Norm had some health issues. We've got good news on those. And so he made it to the district council meeting and is going ahead and notifying his clubs. And then B27 is March 17th. We haven't posted that date yet because she's waiting to get confirmation from Deer Valley Kaiser out in East County and out in Antioch to make sure that we've got the room. But everything's scheduled. The March 26th is the Division B contest, and I'm hearing now that there's a conflict, but Lisa, where's your division located?
It's in, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's in Pleasanton, at Clorox.
Okay, so I mean, I just booked. I had a backup book at my office building, but we moved to the water district because today was the first day we could book March dates for the water district. So I would like to go on March 26th because all of my area directors have already sent out the dates after Sunday's division council meeting.
Let's dig into that after the call.
Okay. The other, I guess if there's a problem, we got one club that's not meeting, and I have never heard from David. Have you connected with him at all, Kevin?
No, but we need to get on the phone with him really this week or next week latest. We're running out of time.
Okay, because that's the only club I know. You know, I know there's clubs that don't have the 20 members, but I'm, coaching one club, and they picked up a member last week. We've been advertising the open houses. I know that club is doing one open house and maybe two. For the meeting coming up tomorrow, Kevin, you mentioned that there was something wrong with the agenda, because I was planning on printing it tonight, filling in the last two names that weren't in there on the draft on Saturday. As I understood it, that agenda followed pretty closely to the times that that I obtained from Bet, and so I'm not sure what you think is missing or where the times are off. I didn't attend the DECM, or not the DECM, the TLI Central this year because I had a conflict, but I've got the keynote I'm going to share with James Forsland, myself, and Ashley Harkness, and James and Ashley saw it. We'll do it basically interactive with the audience. I was going to have Ashley Ching do the open house, because I've never been to an open house other than at other clubs. My club's never done an open house because we always have membership in the high 20s. And so I recruited Ashley to do that.
Yeah, that was kind of the old piece that we had in a draft agenda a while ago, where we talk about demo an open house and things like that. But we opted to pull that out because we'd been spending a lot of time on that. That was the one piece where I wasn't quite sure.
Okay, because to me that's an important piece, because there are a lot of clubs that only have 15 members.
Yep. And that's what I'm literally getting on the phone with Bill Halsey in 10-15 minutes. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about open houses and being a lot more focused on open houses, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, and so that's why I thought it was important for me to reach out to Ashley to have her do an interactive presentation on open houses. I know we've been emphasizing it, but right now we're running a contest that runs through March 15th is my understanding. And so where everybody gets $50 for each of two open houses. And I know of no better way of getting bodies to the meeting than if there's a planned attack to publicity to get people there. I mean, there is another technique, which I think is even more effective, and that's the speechcraft, but.
Yeah. I think we, Bet and I had worked through the training agenda, and we had invited Ashley to participate in that and to figure out what we would do at TLI. She didn't participate with that. And so I talked with Bill Halsey. We had a couple phone calls about, do we really want to show an open house? And so Bill was the one who said, yeah, we don't really maybe need to show that particular piece. So that's where some of that was coming up from. But I hear what you're saying, right? I think it's important, right? People who don't know how to do an open house, they've never seen an open house. We need to get that out there, and I think that's something we can incorporate into the masterclass program coming up.
But I mean, I do have Ashley. I think Ashley's on this call right now, and Ashley's planning on coming. And so, she can certainly do it interactively with the audience, where people can share their best experiences with open houses and how they publicize them. Well, because I'd like to hear it too, because like I said, my club's never had one, and I've been in the club since 2005.
Oh man. Fair enough. Well, look, we need to get through State of the District, and we talk about open houses. We talk about renewals in there. That's the important content. That's what Bet's put together, because Bet's responsible for training and education. So please make sure you get through that content. That's mission critical. Okay.
Okay, we'll do. And other than that, like I said, we've got 42 coming. I know on Sunday morning, I only had 30. So all 4 of my area directors sent out notices to their clubs again, and we picked up 12 or 13 today.
Wow, good for you.
Yep. We sent another email this morning. I know you're all pushing, so we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. It's 7:50. I think we've had a lot of great discussion. If there are other challenges you're having, please reach out to Bet,
One
Ashley,
thing,
or I. Go ahead, Juro.
I just checked to make sure I knew what spreadsheet to put the training information in. I found it, but it's view access only for me. So somebody's gonna need to let me in.
I'll fix that.
Yeah, I put on in the email I had that I will give it to you when you ask, because that way I can make sure that you guys ask.
All right. Let's move on. I gotta move on. There was some other content I wanted to color. I'm gonna skip mid-year training quickly. I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly because y'all should know the dashboards by now. So we're working towards 3 goals, right? We're trying to increase our pay clubs, increase our payments in distinguished clubs, and we're on track. So right now in January, we're just about 3,300 payments. And so we're forecasting that we're going to hit right around 6,400, which should give us room to maneuver. So we're feeling good on payments. And so we're going to be a little bit more targeted on open houses to clubs that really need the open houses to get to distinguished. But just thought you should see that forecast. Same thing with distinguished clubs. We've got 93 clubs right now, 93 that have 3 or more DCP points. And that's without 6 months, 4 or 5 months of education awards. It's without officer training. It's without more open houses to boost that. So we're forecasting out that we're going to kill that. So we're going to get the distinguished club numbers. It's the new club numbers where we're really having the struggle. The struggle is real. We lost one club early on, Diablo View, who they were the ones that wanted to absorb into another. And they weren't running good meetings. And so that's moved forwards. Arcata, they're up towards Eureka. 5 members right now. If they don't get to 8 by April 1st, they're suspended. And obviously the challenge is they haven't added 1 member all year. So how do we go from where we are now to adding 3 members in the next 2 months is a challenge. Speech Masters, we talked about that, Steve. We need to get David Parks on the phone. And JGI is out in Division E. And I know Marissa's been working on that, but we need to get that club committed to meeting again and up and running. Otherwise, we are at 142 without those 3 clubs in particular. And if we want to get to distinguished, let's assume we don't pick up those 3. We're talking about adding at least 5 new clubs before end of year to get distinguished. More if we want to get to select. So new clubs, you're going to be hearing a lot about new clubs really in the next I think going into April, there's going to be a lot about new clubs. And I'm going to throw it over to George. Maybe let's not go through slides, George, because we really only have about 5 minutes, but what do you want to share with the division directors? What should they be thinking about with respects to new clubs?
Sure, thanks, Kevin. So as Kevin said, new clubs are really a big thing we're trying to achieve. Excuse me. You just saw in the email a few days ago that we have a new club leads program where a qualified lead will earn the person to turn in a $150 Amazon gift card. I've talked to a few people. We have their attention, folks. So let me just hit you with the basics. Remember, this is not an obligation. This is not a you got to do this. The new members benefit, they get Toastmasters. Your area directors benefit. If they get a new club in their area and do the other things, they can be presidents distinguished. and you just need one new club in your whole division and you're president distinguished. This is a great thing to go for. It feels really good to be able to say the president distinguished. Let me just go with the absolute basics here. What we're asking for is that you give us an introduction, and let's talk about to the name and contact info, title, whatever you've got, for a manager, director, someone in one of the big companies around here that you know wants to hear about Toastmasters. Folks, help me out. It does not help us, the new club program, to send something over and say, I saw this building in Pleasanton, it has this name on it. Why don't you check them out? I'm not kidding. I've already got a couple of those.
Wow.
Okay. Really, ideally, here's the ideal case. We'd like you to have talked to the person if you can. Maybe that's not going to work. I know we're working in one situation where one of our people has got a neighbor who says the neighbor's employer, he thinks wants a club, and that guy has talked to someone in the club. Okay, so fine. If we have that inside contact, that's a good thing. But really, help me out all you can with really qualified leads. Not, I think they ought to have a Toastmaster club, but I have reason to believe this particular person at this phone number wants to talk about a Toastmaster club. Are we cool on that?
Yep.
Let me hear an amen.
Amen.
Okay. Now, the second part, to a large local company, is we'd like new clubs anywhere we can find them. But the thing about going to a company is there's a bunch of people there. You don't need to find 20 random people scattered around the community. There's a group of people that are all there together. Now, that list went out. It was on the 27th. Look that up again in your email. January 27th, it listed, I think, about 15 large companies with a number of people. That is not an exclusive list. We've already come across cases where, for some reason, it didn't show up. The point is, any largish company would love to see several hundred people. I would say the minimum probably is 200, 250 salaried workers, what we used to call white collar employees. It doesn't have to be that list, but that's a starting point. And we've already got one lead from that list. So take a look, take a close look at that list and see if you know someone. If you work there, come on, get with the job, okay? The third card is you send it in, it's gonna wind up on my desk. I'm working with my new club's team and we'll qualify. We'll go, we'll call them, we'll talk to them, we'll figure out what they really want to do. I had one lead that looked really, really good until it turned out the place they wanted to start it was in San Francisco. Well, gosh, that didn't work out. But we'll qualify. If we get this to go as far from your lead as doing a demo meeting, a kickoff meeting, we called it an open house, and people are getting confused on that. But if it looks good enough and the person that wants it can round up the people, we'll do a demo meeting and you will get a $150 Amazon gift card. Folks, it works. It's to everyone's benefit, including the people in the companies, you, your areas. Let's see if we can make it happen, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And thanks, George. And that's what's really making the difference here. I mean, I'll send this out, right? But Division C, you add one club, and you have Autodesk, FICO, Restoration Hardware, you get there. D, you add one club, you get the President's Distinguished. And, we've been working on a couple. I mean, remember that Clorox had a second office in downtown San Francisco, which could be an option. I know Lisa's working on Abbott, but there's other clubs and companies in there. But that's the path towards the divisions getting distinguished. It's, we have a lot of clubs that have the DCP points. We have a lot of clubs that certainly have the members. But to get that extra step, it's about adding a new club to your divisions. All right. And I'm going to be following up with you directly, individually, one-on-one, to really just figure out where you're at in that process. If you need a hand, if you need support, we want to help you there. But that's what the numbers are telling us. So, all right, quick wrap up. because I know we're at the top of the hour. We're coming up to February Decum, March Decum, and then something important is going to happen. Middle of April, the dashboards update. The dashboards update, and it's going to tell us how many clubs are distinguished. It'll tell us what areas are distinguished, what divisions are distinguished. We're also going to find out what clubs don't have 8 or more people renewed yet, so they're not a club in good standing anymore. We're going to have all this information about really where the district is and what we need to do to go after the 3 points: new clubs, more member payments, and distinguished clubs. So as soon as those dashboards updates, we're going to be rolling out incentives and programs and working in a very targeted way towards those particular goals. So keep doing what you're doing. We're doing all the right things. We need to focus on new clubs. And then when middle of April rolls around, we're going to be, I think, giving you some very specific marching orders and areas of focus. All right. So no surprises. That's coming up in April, and we'll talk more about it as we get closer. But I just wanted you all to be aware of kind of that broad timeline. We're running our programs up to April, and then we're going to have certainly a lot more depth and detail, new incentives rolling in. Okay. I'm going to stop here because it's 8:02. It's at the top of the hour. This is being recorded, so if you miss something, we can certainly circle back around and you can listen to the recording, and it will go out to the other division directors as well. Couldn't make it because I know a couple are sick. All right. If you have any questions, you can stay on for a couple more minutes. We'd be happy to answer them. But I appreciate all of your time and your service. I know you're working hard with your contest, with your training. We're more than halfway there. All right. The year's going to finish before you know it.
Hey, Kevin, for the February Decum, is there going to be a call-in number?
There will be a call-in, yes.
Okay, because I will be in Portland.
All right.
I just wanted to remind everyone that if like the president of eBay Mud attends a training, but he's also the secretary of City Center and he's the sergeant at arms for Lakeview, he can go to one training class and get credit for all the clubs, for all the officers that he is in. Okay? I just want to make sure everyone remembers that.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Shiro. Enjoy Portland. We'll talk before then.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night. I'm going to stop recording now. Stop recording.